Expect the unexpected and be open to surprises. Jesus appears to the two disciples who are walking along the road, but they don't recognize him, at least not until much, much later. And that's what it's all about, seeing and not seeing, being open to be surprised when we don't expect. Last Sunday, the story of Jesus appearing was centered on doubt, and Lane Lindquist talked about doubt. She said that doubt is not the enemy of faith. To doubt is not to deny, but it's to question and search and to reach out and touch that doubt, to grapple with it and to be willing to be surprised. The gospel today is centered on unseen and unknowing. And both of these, the doubt from last Sunday and the blindness of this week, speak to faith. The searching and questioning of faith. So, expect the unexpected and be ready for surprises. As the disciples walked along, they believed that their world had fallen apart, and Jesus joins them. He listens to them and they tell him their story. And he says to them, "Oh, how foolish, how slow of heart to believe." Then he tells them words of the prophet, words of hope. He could have said to them, "Don't you see what's right in front of you? Open your eyes and look, don't you see?" Mostly we don't see what's right in front of us. We only see what we expect to see. We only see, taste, and hear what we expect to hear. There's a story from World War II about men on a submarine, and they got on the submarine. They're on for a long time, and they're only given for dessert lemon jello or cherry jello, just those two flavors. So on one trip, the cherry jello was not put on board, and the cook knew, oh, this is going to be trouble. They're not going to be happy with just having the lemon jello the whole time. So he added red food coloring to the lemon jello. And he told them it was cherry. They ate it for weeks. They tasted cherry, and they expected cherry, and they never knew the difference. So we taste and we see, and we do hear what we expect. So expect the unexpected and be open for surprises. The disciples didn't ever expect to meet Jesus when they were walking down the road. It would have probably seemed the most unbelievable thing. Most of them, as I said, when we're presented with these realities that we don't expect, we don't accept them. We don't even see them. I read an article this past week that says, quote, "Science advances by accepting absurdities. Its history, science's history, is one of unbelievable ideas proven to be true. Faith has always been in the business of accepting things that seem out of the realm of reality." So what about these things that seem out of the realm of reality? I'm reading a book by Joan Chittister, and the book is called In Search of Belief. She's a Benedictine nun and an author and a lecturer. She's been called one of America's foremost spiritual voices. In this book, she takes each part of the creed, and she talks about what it means to her. And she reaches out and she touches her doubts about parts of the creed. And the chapter titled, "On the Third Day He Rose Again from the Dead," reveals her questions about the belief of resurrection. That phrase, "on the third day he rose again from the dead," is our Easter phrase. It is the resurrection phrase that's in the creed. For Chittister, resurrection is about transformation. For her, the resurrection allowed the disciples to experience Jesus in a different way. He appeared to them, they saw, they heard, and they felt his presence in a different way. There have been moments in my life when I've met a person, had a conversation, read something, heard a musical piece, or seen a sunrise, and I have been changed. Just as the disciples, my heart burns, and nothing is ever quite the same again. When this happens, Chittister says, we rise from one life to another, not as a different person, but not recognized really as the person that we were. So to say, I believe in Jesus Christ who rose from the dead, for Chittister, is to say, quote, "The Jesus of history becomes the Christ of faith. The resurrection is in us to believe." Our hearts burn as the disciples' hearts burn, and the point, and that is the point, in which everything before and everything after is different. I read this and I thought, oh, I see, oh, I understand. This makes sense for a moment. And then I felt this flash, and I went on, and I was reading a poem by Denise Levertov, and it's titled, On Belief in the Physical Resurrection of Jesus. The title and the poem startled me, and it surprised me. And the poem says, quote, "It is for all literalists of the imagination. A miracle is possible, and it's possible and essential." And then she asks, can the resurrection just be an internal power, but not a matter of the flesh? Can't we believe, and must we feel the wound to believe? She ends with, quote, "Have we forgotten that with God, all things are possible? So, with God, all things are possible. Expect the unexpected." It is the acceptance of the very thing that seems unbelievable. That's the mystery. That's where Christ is, and that's the essence of Christ in the mystery. We are presented with the mystery every day when we go from doubt and questioning of last week to the unseeing of this week, to that flash or that moment when our hearts do burn, we feel the presence. And we know that with all God things are possible. And I want to end on that with a prayer. God, help us to know, with you all things are possible. Let our hearts burn in those flashes of knowing the mystery of the resurrection. And open us to expect the unexpected